This week is all about Mitumba business. Mitumba is a Kenyan term used to refer to second-hand clothes, handbags, school bags, shoes and other assorted items such as kitchenware and toys. This is one of the most lucrative business in the country, with Kenya importing over 185,000 tons of second-hand items. The business contributes significant revenue to the Kenyan economy, as well as creating employment opportunities for the youth. However, over time, the business model is changing through creating adoption of formalized second-hand stores. On Moolah Insider this week, we look at how you can now get quality and affordable shoes or clothes at a normal store such as a mall, just like it is with new outfits. I'll be your host, Margaret Wahito. But first is a word of the week, and our word of the week is bale. A bale is a bundle of tightly packed clothing. A large quality of clothing is compacted to smaller units. Back to the main story of the week. Every year, Kenya imports over 185,000 tons of second-hand clothes, shoes and textiles, making this sector one of the most lucrative business in the country. At the moment, over 2 million people earn a living from Mitumba business. For you to get that nice Mitumba outfit, you had to visit a large market like Gikomba in Nairobi and dig into heaps of clothes. But in recent times, this business model is changing through the opening of formal second-hand outlets while maintaining the same price and quality. Let's take a look. Shopping for the affordable and quality second-hand clothes, popularly known as Mitumba, is straightforward, but can also be quite difficult if you take the traditional route. You can go to Gikomba Market in Nairobi and try find your way through the stalls and dig through the piles of clothes. You could also do the same at any of the major markets in urban centers in Kenya. Bargaining is part of the process. While this approach works, things in the Mitumba sector are gradually changing with the entrance of formalized second-hand stores that keep prices low and give the shopper the opportunity to shop like they would at a clothes store. This is the concept behind Think Twice Kenya, which has 25 stores in Thika, Kiambu, Naivasha, Meru, and a majority in Nairobi. Other shops using this model include Rahisi Second-Hand Mart and Budget Wear, with the latter having 9 outlets in Nairobi, Thika and Rongai.
When people go to shop out for clothing, mainly is not only the product that they need. The shopping lifestyle itself, the experience that you get out of what you spend, and finally the product. The idea behind Think Twice is the shopping experience that we offer to the customers by giving a nice environment where it's easy to shop. Once you get to our shops, then you will find the environment is very clean, friendly. The departments, the product is separated into departments where it will be so easy for you to shop. The prices are clearly indicated, so there's no that concept of bargaining or rip-off or things like that.
The first store was established in 2014, and at Think Twice, the prices range from 25 shillings to a maximum of 1,500 shillings. Despite the high operating expenses like rent, staff, electricity, license fees and others, the company's competitive advantage is because it imports its own items directly, cutting the normal Mitumba supply chain.
Naturally, the way the second-hand business is in Kenya is that there are several levels where the importer then sells to another bulk seller, then the bulk seller sells to another small bulk seller, up to the person who buys the bale, and then from the person who buys the bale, some people buy several pieces and then they go to take them to different outlets. So you'll find that from the importation to the end consumer, in typical example, you'll find between 5 to 10 different stages involved. But in Think Twice, that is very different because we import directly and from the port to the warehouse to the shop.
According to Mitumba Consortium Association of Kenya, 90% of Kenyans use second-hand clothes, with the sector employing over 2 million Kenyans, both directly and indirectly. Meanwhile, 185,000 tons of Mitumba clothes come to Kenya every year, offering the government 12 billion shillings in taxes. Since the Mitumba industry is customer-centered, the formalized second-hand clothes stores will grow gradually, just like in other global markets. Abel Kamau is the sector's executive at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers.
The growth has also been, even to those actual traders within Gikomba, seen many of them shifting from Gikomba and operating formal operation joints around most of the estates. So I think it's a trend, it's a market trend, it's a disruption, which I think we should capacity build our business people towards adoption.
On the other hand, KAM data shows the local fashion market has employed over 300,000 Kenyans, both directly and indirectly. And with good regulation, the growth of the formalized second-hand clothes may not have any significant negative impact on the local fashion market, since the two markets target different people.
The critical thing for us is to ensure that what is coming in as Mitumba is generally Mitumba. One of the concerns that the manufacturers have had over a long period of time, is where you find new clothing or new footwear being imported as second-hand. They are misdeclared as second-hand. And this ultimately leads to under-invoicing. And those imported new items end up paying lower duties and taxes. And these new products are the ones that are giving direct competition to locally manufactured products, because it's new for new. So the critical thing, which I think also the government has really put in a lot of effort, both within the Bureau of Standards, the Revenue Authority, and also from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, is ensuring that we have regulations that ensure that any trade which is happening, it's genuine trade.
For Think Twice Kenya, the only challenge would be having any import ban. One of the first responses to the COVID-19 pandemic by the government was a ban on Mitumba imports in March 2020 that lasted until August the same year.
The consumer base, those are people who depend on our product for their basic consumption. Clothing is a basic need, and these people need that for their basic, life sustenance. So we're doing away with Mitumba business. That will be the first group to be highly affected. The other big group to be affected is the people who operate within the industry. There are people who buy and resell, the middlemen who make a profit out of resale and breaking the bulks. There are the people who are involved in transportation. There are people who work, for example, the whole of the staff that we have around here. There are people who offer support services, food industry that comes out of the market, because the people who are in the market have to be fed, have to be serviced. There's the financial institutions, banks, they give a lot of financing. They also receive a lot of deposits through the trade.
Think Twice plans to expand to other major cities in Kenya. As mentioned, Mitumba business employs over 2 million Kenyans. It is easy to think that the business is saturated. However, there's still room. If you're wondering how you can start this kind of business, these are some of the key factors you need to know. First, you need to have capital. You can start a small Mitumba business roughly between 500 to 1,000 Kenyan shillings. However, a medium Mitumba business needs 20,000 to 100,000 shillings. For those who'd love to start a large Mitumba business, arm yourself with more than 100,000 shillings. Now, secondly, create your target market. Now, before starting any business, it is important to think about your target market. That is, know your niche. You can target your colleagues, neighbors, and villagers, or even move from door to door or do online marketing, among others. Now, thirdly, identify your location. At the moment, the online market is one of the easiest to start with as opposed to physical store. This is because it spares you expenses such as business licenses, rent, among others. However, for those with enough capital, you can opt to have a physical store. It is important to ensure that your items are unique in a way because your chances of making a profit will be high. Now next, know your supplier. Before starting a Mitumba business, it is very important to locate a reputable and reliable supplier. You can either buy stock in bales or randomly pick individual items known as camera at wholesale price, and for starters, you can go for the latter. You're watching Moolah Insider, and to watch our previous episodes, please log on to www.moolah.co.ke or link with us on our social media pages. Now next is pursuits.
Good morning. I had forgotten that I was vlogging. So we've skipped a day.
Angel Lately, also known as Angel Nangayo, is a content creator on YouTube. Angel was in January named amongst 4 Kenyans who were selected to be part of the YouTube Black Voices class of 2022. This is a platform that was made by YouTube in 2020, where Black creatives all around the world get funding to build their YouTube channels and amplify Black voices online. She talks about how she started her YouTube channel and what being selected for the YouTube Black Voices class of 2022 means for her.
My very first video, I think, was a vlog. I've been hacked since, so I don't have the bulk of the 2012 to 2019 videos. But I think it was a vlog. I was spending Christmas with my demon at the time's family. And so I vlogged that. It was snowing buckets in Calgary, so I just vlogged that whole thing because it was my first Christmas away from home, and I wanted to document it for the people back home to see.
According to Angel, it takes about 3 hours to edit one video.
It seems a lot easier than it actually is. The hardest part for me is editing because I cannot stop yammering. So I go on and on and on, and I have to chop up a bunch of things. I don't really have a very high cost base for YouTube because I buy equipment, maybe I renew my equipment maybe once a year, once every maybe 18 months. So between cameras, lenses, tripods, I don't really do much for sound. I just can't be bothered. With the miking and everything, I can't kill myself. So I don't think my costs are the highest. Maybe I've put in terms of cost, 250,000 shillings, maybe, max so far.
When it comes to content creation, it is important to build yourself as a brand as you focus on your areas of interest and the kind of brands you want to attract for collaborations. Angel decided to create a niche for herself in lifestyle content as she focuses on things such as places to shop, eat, and hang out.
I don't think I've really put in much strategy into it until this year. I think with Black Voices, I now have to really think about what's the growth strategy because it's one of my KPIs. But so far, I appear when I appear, and if I don't, the girls will see me when they see me, you know? It began with a lot of vlogging, casual content, and then I got really into fragrance because I would mention my fragrances a lot, and then my audience would ask, can you tell us more about your fragrance collection? Then I got into almost exclusively fragrance, and then people started to ask for the lifestyle stuff again. So I do fragrance, a bit of beauty, a bit of fashion. It's really just lifestyle. Vlogs. My initial vlogs were pretty popular at the time, interestingly. And I couldn't understand. Most of my viewership then was in Canada because I lived in Canada. So I got monetized, I think, within the first 8 months, something like that.
Angel applied for the YouTube Black Voices class of 2022 after a friend recommended her channel will be good for the program.
YouTube Black Voices is about sharing what Black lives are, to humanize Blackness more, and she thought that the story of Africa is maybe sometimes mistold in that no one really thinks that like girls in Africa are living the same way or similarly to girls anywhere else in the world, and she thought it was important. And so she sent me the application and she was like, I think you should apply for this thing. I applied and forgot about it. So when I got the email, I was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I think the exposure is probably bigger than I could ever have created myself. And I think also because of the funding, it allows me to perhaps make more time for it. My background is in accounting, so everything has to make accounting sense. And I think I've put not enough time into YouTube because it just wasn't making me as much as the other things that I'm doing.
She's also quite keen about remaining authentic when venturing into content creation.
I think authenticity is key. I think a lot of the time you come in because you maybe watch someone else and you try to replicate what someone else is doing. And I think you can never be as good at being someone else as you can be at being yourself. And I also think that there are many resources on YouTube on how to create on YouTube. Take advantage of those. It's free education that is available on the platform, and there's a lot of creator support right now, especially for creators in Africa. So take advantage of that. I think it's time for YouTube growth in Africa. Whether or not you are a Black voice, there's a lot of support for content creators in Africa. Take advantage of that. Now is the time. Start today.
For Angel, making money on YouTube is relative to the amount of effort and consistency one puts into their channel. And she has faced challenges with consistency, but being part of the YouTube Black Stories class of 2022 will change that.
I'm much more of a planner in my work and my business. But with content creation, it's really just a question of doing what I can and then letting the space do what it wants to do back. I'm hopeful, and I'm keen to see what this year has in store. At least with this year, I can say with Black Voices that I expect to see growth, or I hope to see growth. If you are thinking about doing it, do it, because there's no time better than the present. And really, that's true really of anything, whether you want to start a business or you want to get into content creation on the back end, you want to start producing for other people, you want to edit for other people. There's no time better than the present. And the iron is hot, so strike.
After pursuits, we now look at the leading indicators this week, starting with the stocks and foreign exchange. Next, we look at the prices of basic commodities from selected supermarkets. That's all we had for you this week on our 6th episode of Season 3. To watch our previous episodes, please log on to www.moolah.co.ke or link with us on our social media pages. Thank you, Salach Brands, for hosting us. My name is Margaret Wahito. See you next week.